So now we have modified the code a little bit. So next I'm going to decode all the widgets. So I'm going to deep dive into the widgets like container, buttons, and how to work with the icons kind of thing. So once we done that, you will get a clear idea about what is widget and why we need that and how to use that. So I'm going to remove the scaffold. Okay, so these are very important things in the Flutter. So this never change. So when you are creating a new project, so main function will be there, run app will be there, and my app will be there inside the my app. So it can be a stateless or a stateful widget. So inside that we have the material app. So this material app, it requires a home page always. Okay, so now what we are going to do here, so we are going to create a new page. As I said, every new page is called a scaffold. Okay, so inside the scaffold, we have a multiple properties like a background color, body, drawer, something like this. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to save this and I'm going to show the result. Now it is white color. Okay, so if you want to change the background color, so what you have to do, so there is a property called background color. So this background color, it will always require a color. To display the color, this is the syntax, color dot. So if you put the dot, the Flutter, it will have the lot of color, indigo, green, or purple, or whatever it is. Even if you choose the green color, so it has a lot of shades. So if you put the 50, it will give the shades of some mild color. If you put 600, it's a dark color. Okay, for example, I'm going to put the 900. So let's see how the green works. I'm going to save this. So it is a green. Okay, if I put 50, so you can see the green color, but the shade is completely changed. So if I put 800, it is again a dark green. Okay, like this you can display the colors. So next, inside the scaffold, we have another property called Appboard. Appboard is nothing but, here you can see some title, we will put it right. So Appboard. So I'm going to type Appboard. So this Appboard, it requires a widget called Appboard. Okay, so let me explain. This Appboard is a property name of this scaffold, but this Appboard is a widget name. Okay, so let's save this and see how it's going to look. So now you can see the default color is the blue color. Okay, so if you want to change the background color of Appboard, what you have to do, just hover this and make sure you have a background color. Yes, you have background color, colors dot, whatever color you have to choose. Okay, I choose indigo. So now the color has been changed. So now the scaffold is in a black color and the Appboard is in a indigo color. And this Appboard, it has a different properties called title. So if you hover the title, so here you can see the title is a widget. So I'm going to pass the text. Okay. So I'm going to save this. So here you can see we are seeing the title here. Like this Appboard has a multiple properties. So next I'm going to see another property called body. So I'm inside the scaffold, we have a property called body. So this body, again, it requires a widget. This widget, it can be anything. So right now I'm going to put the container. Okay, so the container is nothing but it's just an empty space. Okay, if I see the refresh, you cannot see anything, but this container is used for drawing the box or a circle, or if you want to add a padding, everything you can do with the container. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make the height and width of this container. I'm going to make it as a 400 and width is going to be a 400, just like a square box. Okay, then I'm going to give the container color. So if I save this, so now you can see 400 into 400 red color box. If I reduce the size, so here you can see we have created a box. Also, this container is a single child widget. So let me explain what is single child and multi-child widget. So inside the Flutter, there are a few childs are single child widget and a few widgets are a multi-child widget. So single child widget means So inside this widget, you can have another widget. For example, the container have only one widget, but this row have a multiple widget. For example, you can put the text and images or a button, everything inside the row. But inside the container, you cannot put something like that, okay? So it can hold only one widget, and multi-child widget means it can hold a multiple widgets, okay? So I'm going to have a child of text. So if I save this, so now inside this container, you have this particular text, okay? It is not outside the container, it is inside the container, okay? So next you have to remember about the padding. Padding is nothing but the space inside the container, okay? So here you have see the hello, right? So the red color box to the hello. So to add the padding, this is the syntax. So this is the syntax for adding the padding. So this cannot be changed, okay? So the value you can change it, but edges inside, this is the syntax, okay? So I'm going to save this and see how it's going to. So now we have added the 8 point. So now we have added the padding inside the container. So next it is the margin. Margin also same syntax. But this margin is nothing but outside the container, okay? So if I refresh now, so you can see the spacing outside the container, okay? So that is the difference between the padding and margin. So what is padding means? So if you want to add a spacing inside the container, that is called padding, and if you want to add a spacing outside the container, that is called margin. Also here we have used the all, right? All means in all direction. Sometimes we need to add a spacing only for a top. So that moment what do you have to do? So instead of all, there is a property called only. So inside only we have a multiple properties where you have to add. So left, right, top, bottom. For example, I'm going to add a padding of top. Top is going to be 20. So if I save this, here you can see there is no spacing from the left side, but from the top side we are adding the 20 space. If I want to add a spacing for a left, so here you can see we have added a spacing. The same goes for the margin. So this is all about this container, okay? So next we have to think about center. So I'm going to remove this container. So next we have a widget called center. Center is nothing but in case if you are putting any child inside that will be center position for this root. For example, if I'm going to put the text, so now this hello is the center for the entire scaffold. So next what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make this text as a center for this particular container. What do you have to do? So I'm going to create a center widget here. Inside the center, I'm going to have a child text. So let's save this. So now you can see this text, it will be a center position for this container. It is since we have added a padding, it's not looks like a center. So I'm going to remove this. So let's refresh now. So now you can see this particular text, it's on the center position. Now we have to understand what is center. So center is nothing but it will add a child to the center position for its parent. So now the parent is a container. Previously the parent is a scaffold. Okay. So in case if you want to put any elements on the center position, you can use the center as a widget. So this is the basic widgets in the Flutter. So next I'm going to teach you how to display the image. So to display the image, I'm going to remove this. Instead of the text, I'm going to use a widget called image. So to display image, we have a multiple option. One, you can directly display from the network or you can use the local image. So right now I'm going to use the network. So here we have to pass the URL. For that I'm going to the browser. So here I'm going to display this particular image. I'm going to open the image in a new tab. So this is the URL for that image. I'm just going to copy this and paste here. So let's save this and I'm going to do the refresh. So now you can see the image is displaying here. In case if you want to change the height and width of the image, what you can do, one, you can fix the height and the width of the container. Otherwise, you can fix the height and width of this image. Okay. So inside the image network, so first you have to pass the src, that is the path of this URL. So next you can change the height and you can change the width. So if I save this, so now you can see we have changed the height and width of the particular image. So this is how you can display the image from the network. So now you can notice this image is in the center position because we are using the center widget, right? That's why it's showing on the center. In case if I am removing this, so the image is on the different position. Okay. So next we have to learn how to display the image locally. Okay. So now we are displaying the image from the network, right? So next I'm going to download some images. So now we have downloaded the file. So next what you have to do, you need to go to the folder. So here you have to create a new folder inside the root folder, not inside the library. You need to create a folder inside the root. In case if you have any doubts, you just go to the finder and go to your working directory. So here inside the first tab, this position you have to create, not inside the library folder. Okay. So I'm going to create a folder called images. I'm just going to copy the downloaded image and paste inside the images folder. Okay. So if I refresh this folder, so here we can see the images folder and here we can see the file name. So I'm just going to rename the file name as one. Okay, that will be easy. So now I'm going to display this image inside the application. So I'm going to remove this image.asset. Here I need to give the path. So we have an images folder, right? Images and then file name one and then extension name JPG. As a beginner you might do some mistake. The extension will be JPEG. So that moment you have to give the JPEG PNG. Okay, so if I try to refresh now, I'm going to save this file and if I do the refresh, it will throw the error. So here you can see we are seeing the error. Here we are not seeing the images. So because this application don't have a permission to access this images folder, so we have to give the permission to that folder. So for that what we have to do, I'm going to go to the bubspec. I'm going to remove all the comments. So now I have removed all the comments. So inside the bubspec also you can notice everything in the tree structure. For example, this SDK it is under the Flutter test. Okay, and this Flutter test it's under the dev dependency. Here you can notice this Flutter and Cupertino icons, it's under the dependency. Okay, so if you are adding any space or if you are removing any space, it will throw the error, because if you remove this, what will happen, this Cupertino icon it is not under the dependency, it is under the root folder. Okay, so you must be very careful on the spacing. Okay, so next, to give the permission for this folder, what you have to do, under the Flutter you have to type assets and full colon, hit enter and add a tab here. So you have to type hyphen space images. Images is nothing but this folder slash. So if you are removing space here, what will happen? This asset, it is not under the Flutter. It will throw the error. If you are adding extra space, what will happen? This asset is going under this one. So then it will throw the error. So you must be very careful. Also, this spacing is also very important. If you remove the spacing, what will happen? This is going under this Flutter. So the spacing is very important. Just give the tab. That means 4 spacing here. Okay. So now we have given the permission to access the folder and files for this application. So you need to save this. Also, if you are making any changes inside the bubspec, you need to stop the file and you need to rerun the application. Okay. So when you are making changes here, you can see it is showing something is running, right? Which means it is downloading the dependency. Sometimes we will add the dependency, okay? So that we will see in the upcoming session. Right now we are not adding any dependency, but anyway, if you are making any changes, what will happen? It will try to download the dependency. So once it is completed, I'm going to stop the application and I'm going to rerun it. So now it is gone. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to stop this application and I'm going to rerun this. So now you can see our image is displaying here. So in case if you want to change the height and width of that particular image, so you can change it. So if I refresh, so here you can see the image has been changed. So sometimes we want to make the image as a circle. Okay, so that moment what we have to do, so we have a widget called circle avatar. Okay, so inside the container, I'm going to have the child of circle avatar. So now we have created a circle avatar. So this circle avatar, it requires the background image. Okay. So now what we are going to do here, so there is another way to display the image. Okay. So one, you can use the image.asset, image.network. That is a one way. Other way is you can use asset image. So here you have to give the path images/1.jpg. So now let's refresh now. So here you can see we have added a spacing over here. Also, if you want to change the radius of the circle, so there is a property called radius. So here we have changed it. In case if you want to make this image as a center position, what we have to do? We have to wrap the circle avatar inside the center, right? So to do that, what you have to do? So click the circle avatar, click the bulb icon. So here you need to type wrap with the widget, okay? Or you can wrap with center column kind of thing, okay? So I'm going to wrap with center. So let's save those and see. So now the image has been centered. So now we have a clear idea about how to display the text and how to display the image, right? So next I'm going to explain about how to display the icon and button, okay? Same thing, I'm just going to remove those child. So child, so to display the icon, so we have an icon widget. So inside the icon, you need to pass icons dot. So here it will list a lot of icon, okay? So I'm going to select the random icon and I'm going to save those. So now let's see how the output is going to look. So if I refresh now, so here you can see the alarm icon. So in case if you want to change the color of the icon, so if you hover this, so we have a color property. So color, we already know how to display the color, colors dot. So if I refresh now, so here you can see the color has been changed. If you want to change the size of the icon, if you hover this, so we have a size property, okay? So if I refresh this, so here you can see the size has been changed. So let's make it as a 80. So here you can see the icon size has been changed. So this is how you can display the icon. So next I'm going to explain how to display the button. So inside the button we have a multiple type of buttons, okay? So first I'm going to have the elevated button. So this elevated button, it requires the child. The child, because we can pass the image button or we can pass the text as a button, we can pass the icon as a button, right? That's why we have a child. So I'm going to pass the text. So here if you hover this, it requires the on pressed, because once the user is pressed, we have to do some action, right? So that's required. So right now I'm not going to pass anything, just an empty function, okay? So now we have created an elevated button. So this elevated button, it has a child of text, and on pressed event, it is nothing, okay? So I'm going to save this and do the refresh. So here you can see this is the elevated button. Like this, we have a text button. So if I refresh this, So here you can see it is a button, it is clickable, but there is no background. That is called text button. Also we have a outlined button. So if I refresh this, so here you can see we have the border. So we also have the style element, so that you can change the color of the button, something like this. Okay, so let's see how to do that. I'm going to have the elevated button. So inside the elevated button we have the style property. So this style, it requires elevated button style, elevated button dot style from. So here you can change the color. So if you hover the style from, so here you can see the multiple property for the button style. So I'm going to change the primary, because the primary color of the button. Okay, so I'm going to save those, and if I refresh now, so here you can see the color has been changed. Here you can see some shadows, right? So if I want to remove those, there is a property called elevation. So if I put elevation as 0, there will be no shadow. So now you can see the black shadow has been removed. And if you want to change the height and width, what you have to do? So you can change the height and width. But there is no property for height and width for this button. What do you have to do? We have the center widget, right? So instead of the center, I'm going to change this to the container. So this container, we are going to change the height. So if I save this, so now the button height and width has been changed. So I'm going to make it as a very big. So here you can see the button height has been changed. If you want to change the font size for this, press me. So you have to apply the style here. So I'm going to save this. So now you can see the font size has been changed.